So, okay, what is your first rule to make $500,000?
First rule. Okay, here's my my opinion. There's two types of agents out there. There's, the ones that buy the leads and they keep on working the leads, and then there's the relationship. I feel like I'm a relationship agent. So what I've done over the years is constantly worked my sphere with my people. Stay in contact with them. Always add them to your database, reach out to them, follow up with them. I take them out to dinner. I have parties that I invite them to, chili cook-off, cookie exchange. My sphere, I work very tight, and they all refer me. So
Between that and buying leads off the internet, which would you say costs more money?
I would say probably the leads off the internet, because I've done both. And I ended up with nothing. And I think just working the people that works better.
Absolutely.
Keeping the relationships with the people and always doing the right thing for them. So the other thing that when Abby spoke with me, I just don't think people just want to use you just because you're a friend or a relative. You have to be a boss. You have to show leadership qualities. What's your skill level? What are you going to do for them? It's your value, what you're going to do. And so when you start proving yourself and people say, oh, she did a great job, there was this and this going on, but she fought for me, and then just keep going. You got that successful client, get a review, ask for referrals.
Takes us right into number 2.
Yeah.
Where mentality is everything. You always want to win. Is that?
I'm always wanting to win. That's forever. Been competitive forever. Always want to win. And I'm always trying to work out the deal all the way to the end. I don't ever give up. I think you have to have some sort of, problem solving ability, and you have to know how to work with the other agent. So I think, people profile, you're going to have to know how to adjust yourself, for the other agent too.
Excellent. And then, so what would number 3? Think like a lawyer, as far as you're talking about bulletproofing the transaction.
Bulletproofing a transaction, look for cracks. Always, read your contracts and, watch how the other person is, and that is very true. Look for cracks, like foresee potential problems. For example, somebody, doesn't put on the listing whether it's, they're getting the C of O or not. Do you know that city, requires a C of O? Then 2 agents go to the end of transaction and they're like, oh, we didn't know that we needed this to close. You take charge. You be the leader. You find out, about the city. You just can't rely on the other agent. You have to do your own due diligence for your client. So when people get to know that about you, they know that, I guess what people say is they feel safe. They feel like I have their back.
And not only is that huge with your clients and your sphere, but people know when they put a deal together with Leporowski, it's going to close because everyone's working towards the common goal.
Right.
You have 2 reputations in this industry, right, guys? You have one with your sphere and with your client base, and you have another with other agents. And you can recover one. It's harder to recover the latter because we're not fly by night like some clients.
Right. That's a very good point that you're saying. So, okay, so I keep the relationship really good with the clients, but then at the same time, maybe I'll have a crazy one, that I don't know where they came from, but there are some crazy people, and it's like, whew, I'm having a hard time representing them, and they're acting really nuts. So, sometimes you have to let them go and don't ruin your relationship with the other agent too. So there's like a balance there that you have to have, because I always keep my relationships good with the other agents. Always. And so let's just say I feel like I have a person, okay, and I did have somebody drug me around, showing houses, they're never going to buy. They want to put in an offer. How can I back them when they're always going to keep backing out? I can't go to that agent and say, you know what, pick my offer, because this person is a complete flake, But if my people say, I know that they're going to close the deal. I mean, I'll fight till the end, to win, and get that deal accepted. And then that's built over time, So I want to just go back on one thing over here. Don't think that like this is easy. It was easy. This is 24 years of getting punched in the stomach, kicked in the teeth. You have to be resilient. You have to get back up. You have to learn from your mistakes, and you have to keep on going. Don't ever blame anybody. Always say, what could I have done to make this better? Even ask your clients. Say you have somebody that wasn't happy. Ask your people. I've had people that went to another agent. Don't let them just, they backstabbed you and went to another agent. Pick up that phone and call them. What could I have done better?
Absolutely.
And you know what? It happens to everybody. But the more persistent and aggressive you are, like kind of just persistent, staying in the game. Hey, you know what? If it doesn't work out, call me. I'm still working with people that backstabbed me years ago. They're back with me now. So, and don't ever be really mean with them or attitude, because you want to just punch them in the teeth. You're like, I ran around with them. They went and bought from somebody else. You know what? Try and be nice. Wish them well. I mean, it's really hard to do, but this is a people business too. So you have to be somewhat friendly, but you also have to be a leader, a problem solver, a boss,
Well,
all
this
of the
is
above.
Perfect for number 4. Be honest with clients about every situation. Be open and transparent. I would say you are a very transparent person when it comes to within the transaction, outside the transaction. And I love what you said. So I have a rule in my house that I'm making sure my kids understand: point thumbs, not fingers.
Right.
In almost any problem you can encounter, whether it's in life or business, there was a decision you made at some point that puts you in that spot. You allowed somebody to do that to you on
Right.
some level. And
Right.
if you operate with that mentality, you don't feel bad for yourself. You just fix it.
You're
Move
right.
on.
You're right. So maybe you didn't read something in a contract, and and it really was like the other agent's fault, but if you would have read it, you would have caught it. So you have to be you have to be your own advocate for your client in everything. In everything. You just can't trust the other side. So when people know that about you, then they're like they feel safe. They feel I'm with the right agent.
Well, that gets us to number 5, where you talk about, going deeper on getting all the information out of the listing or buyer agent, depending on what side you're on. What are some questions? Do you like open-ended questions? Are you more precise? Kind of how do you operate in those conversations?
You mean like when I'm negotiating,
Yeah,
or?
so you go deeper on getting information from the other agent.
Like if your client had an offer in and you wanted to get some information out of the agent.
Oh, extracting information from them. Yes, yes. Well, you have to learn how to work them. You know what I'm saying? So some people just don't pick up the phone and say, "Hey, what's the price?" Some people are like going to play that. Some people will tell you, some people won't.
I don't have permission from my client to answer that question.
Right,
It's my
right.
favorite.
So
I'll
I
have to ask
say,
for it.
so I just kind of say, hey, if I write my offer at, at 420, is that going to be a waste of time, And then I say, hot, cold, hot, cold. I kind of joke with them, and I try to pinpoint where I should be writing my offer. But you always have to tell your clients too, you're going to have to go all out sometimes on some of these houses. So I say, well, I think we should write our offer here, but I'm going to tell you, you're going to always lose by like 2, 3, 4, 5,000. So I'm going to, if they'll accept an escalation clause, let's escalate as high as you're willing to go, because they have to show you the bona fide offer. So then you're not really overspending, but you're kind of you're doing the best that you can. So if you don't get it, you did the best,
Well,
that you can.
then when an agent won't do that, that's a bit of a tell as well, right? Well, I can't share that with you. It's, well, then my offer isn't as high as you think it's going to be. So
Right.
I find the escalations can always be interesting, because no two agent has the same opinion on how they should work.
Right.
But they are a great tool to have in the bag for sure.
Yes.
So then for number 6, you are in the people business. Kind of you mentioned a lot about that, but what does that mean to you as far as being in a people business?
I'm always, active with people, going out to dinner. I have, like, when we're saying people business, like I said, I talk about the parties that I have, and, it's just really having relationships with people. It's how you treat people. So you should always be treating people with respect. You have to be friendly, but they also want to know that, you're a leader. So you have to be approachable. So you can't be, like I said, so when somebody backstabs you, you should really kind of try to be nice, be nice to them, be respectful to people and the other agents. Available too. Always available. I'm going to say answer your phone all the time, all the time. You know what? Answer your phone when sometimes this is really hard to do, but say, I know we all have our families, but you shouldn't say to them, oh, I have to go to the doctor or I have to do this. They don't care. People are mean. They really don't care. This is when it comes to buying a house, they'll run you over. So you just tell them, I'm on an appointment. I'll call you in an hour. Is that okay? I'm telling you, you'll never, you'll keep more people by just answering with a quick text when you're going to get back with them. Then get back with them.
Well, and behold to your expectation. If you set an expectation, you better meet it. Otherwise, then you're going to be considered the flake, right?
Right.
So if 1 hour is not going to do it and you need 2, say 3, and that
Yeah.
way you know.
Well, you might have to say, I'm sorry. You know what? This is taking a little longer. Is 2 hours? Another hour. I'm going to have to call you.
So I don't have your business. I admire the heck out of your business, but I'm more of a relational agent as well.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I like to infringe on my folks is that I do in fact have a life. I oftentimes connect with them on social media so they see what that is.
Right.
And they'll give you a little bit more leeway when you show them you're a person. Whereas I feel sometimes as a transactional agent, you're more disposable when it comes to that.
Right. So going back to relationships, another thing, and I'm always learning from my people. I ask them, what do you expect? Here's another thing somebody just recently told me. You know what, why don't you pick up the phone a week after that transaction and find out how are they doing? Maybe stop by with a pizza or, send a cleaning lady for them, something nice like that. But you should always follow up after the transaction because when you disappear, forget it. You should follow up 1 week later, even though it went really well. How's that going? I always tell them, hey, I'll stop by. Let me know when's a good time. And, if somebody's fixing up a house, that's another thing. That's how you stay connected. They're fixing up the house. They said, yeah, we'll probably be done in about 2 months. So, you know what? We put on the calendar 2 months. I'm going to call them and I'm going to drive over there and take a look at the house. So it is a lot of hard work. So I don't do any shortcuts. I'm going to tell you that. I show up, I'm in the game, I'm at every inspection, I'm at every closing. So it's hard work. It's not, okay, I'm on a vacation and somebody else is doing it. They want to see you. They want to see you. And they want you to come and see what they did. And sometimes people will have me over for dinner, so I have to go. But it does get exhausting, guys. I'm tired. And wait, I want to talk about you. You said you're a relationship agent. You keep going because where I'm at, I've been doing this 24 years, and I worked at the bank 17 years. But what's happening now is all the clients that I served, all their kids are buying, their cousins are buying, they're all college graduates, so I'm getting all of those people. So you have to see where it grows. You'll keep on working with the same family and, maybe you'll get like 10 transactions from this one family in 1 year. So just keep at it because then they have another cousin. And here's another thing. I'm not about, just, I'm going to only work this city or that price range, which I know it's exhausting, but I go everywhere. I could help this $120,000 buyer. I go, oh gosh, help me. You know what I'm saying? But then they know somebody that's, buying a new construction, $800,000. And then, I get that transaction. Then I get the other cousin at $400,000. So, I say treat everybody with respect, give the same service for whatever price range, show up, follow up after all your transactions. And I think you'll start, just keep your database and keep doing that. Also send them things. I send out the tiger magnets in the spring, and then that's a good way to follow up in the spring. Hey, did you get your magnet? And they're like, oh my gosh, I love it. I had some friends over from high school, and then the one came and said, hey, do all you guys get a tiger magnet? And they said, yeah, we all do. Okay. So, and even if they're not selling or buying houses, I still send them magnets because eventually they're looking for an agent and that magnet's on their fridge. They love the Lions along with the Michigan State magnet. Call them in the fall. Did you get your magnet? You know, that kind of stuff. And then I'm going out to dinner with somebody tomorrow. So she had a little bumpy transaction and I said, hey, do you want to go to Joe Muir's on the water? And she's like, yeah, that sounds great. You know what? And that cures everything, you know.
I interrupt to say, you said that you show up, what I remember a transaction we had together, I don't know, a couple months ago. Linda had an inspection, the inspector showed up early, Linda was at the hair salon. And so she left the hair salon with her hair wet and showed up so that she was still on time for her,
Right.
for her inspection because the inspector was early.
Yeah, the hair was going every which way and I was in it.
I gotta go.
Yeah.
So you're not lying.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, Linda, thank you so much for sharing part of what has made you so successful. Anytime we get off a phone call together, I am exhausted. So I don't know how you do it. I love watching your just leave the stratosphere with your work. And my favorite thing you said is show up, follow up.
Yes, and here's another thing too. Always be positive. When you're calling somebody, have that excited energy. Nobody wants to hear any negativity or blah, blah, blah. They want you to be a can-do person. What can you do for me? How can you change this negative thing into a positive? I'm just saying, always be energetic when you're on that phone. Everybody goes, I don't know where you get that energy. And I'm thinking, I am like tired as heck. But, you know, always sound positive and interested in them. Interested in them. They don't want to hear about anything about you. It's always about them.
Before you ask them their questions, and because I know this about you, you read constantly.
Yes,
Constantly.
yeah.
What are your top 3 books that every agent in this room should read?
Oh, you know what? First of all, I think it's mindset. And I think, you know, whenever my business was, you know, getting slow, it's the energy. It's the positive energy. The secret. Were you raising your hand?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna, go ahead and finish your 3 books.
Yeah, The Secret and
The Secret is a book.
yeah, I love The Secret.
Okay.
That's, you know what, when you start listening to that and changing your mindset, it really works. And then the Gary Keller, you know, I listened to all of his books.
Okay.
Yeah, and there was a few other ones. I need my phone. What was it? The one.
Thing.
One, yes, yes. Focus on one thing because then you're going to have a whole bunch of circles open. Close the one circle. So always, you know, when I had all those transactions going on, it's one at a time. So don't get yourself ahead of yourself. Stay in that one transaction and just know, okay, I'm at my phone today and you know what? I'm going to call this one, then I'm going to work out this one. It's one at a time. You will get through it. You will problem solve everything. But just don't get ahead of yourself because it gets overwhelming and your head can go like this all crazy. But just focus on that one, you know, transaction. But like I said, a lot of it is mindset, being positive and being organized, being a leader, and feeling confident that you're a leader. That comes across too with everybody. Because when I walked in a house yesterday for a listing, and the carpet was so dirty, they finally cleared everything out, and I went to get the paper signed. I said, "Yikes!" I said, "That's not looking good. Do you want that on Zillow?" And they're like, well, we're just selling it as is. I said, I know, but then what's going to happen is you're not going to get a good price. And they said, what should we do? I said, rip that out immediately. They started ripping it out when I was there. I said, look at those gorgeous floors. Look at those gorgeous floors, you know. And they said, we were afraid of you, Linda. Like, we were listening no matter what you said. But because I said, yikes. I said, you want that? You know, that's what's going to happen on your pictures. And then you're going to not be proud of your house. You want to be proud of the house when you list it. So you do have to advise them, you know, give them a list of how they should stage their house when you're going in for that listing appointment. You know, tell them, this is what needs to happen. You know what? And when you're done, call me. I'll come walk through. So that's another thing. I'm always walking through, checking things out, you know. Hey, how's that coming? You want me to stop in? I'm like, yeah, you're getting close, but, you know. No, I tell them, pack your stuff in the garage. Show the space. That's what you need to do. So, I
We
mean,
had a couple questions. Doug and Jim.
Yeah.
Where do you host your chili cook-off?
at my house, but I'm not going to do it anymore, okay? Because at my house, I found a nice place that I'm going to do it at, and everybody loves to come, but I always say, hey, you know what? If you haven't given me a referral and you haven't bought a house, you're not allowed to come. But they want to come because like I'm a party person too. So not only when I'm down in business and I work, I'm like a party person. So when you're coming to my party, there's a DJ, there's lots of drinks, there's lots of food.
Bottles the next day, that's why.
There kind of is, like probably 17 bags of garbage, and I'm not doing that anymore.
And then Doug.
Yeah, so my question was, because I'm very similar to you as far as I'm always there for my clients.
Yes.
However, there's certain situations, like for instance, next week I was supposed to be on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We're supposed to close on Friday. It got pushed out to next week. How do you handle those ones?
Well, that one you can't help. You have to have a life, and I would just have somebody, sit in for them, for you, with your clients, because all you have to do is say, I had this planned and I anticipated, being with you, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send so-and-so, but I'm going to be available by phone and FaceTime. So what we'll do is we'll go over your closing docs on the phone, because I can always be available by phone. And then, we'll, put me on FaceTime at the closing, and I can kind of, be there with you virtually, and then have somebody else sitting in, so for support. And then also have that person, if it's a buy, have the person, put you on FaceTime for the walkthrough. That's what I do. So that's how I would handle it. But then they would know, okay, she's still with me. And then I make sure it closes, and then I follow up when I come back.
What if you send Alex with the Doug fathead?
That works. I got my stand-in.
Well, Linda, again, thank you so much. And if say any other questions, we
I
go.
got one. What ways would you recommend getting back in front of your past transactions if you feel you haven't, like you didn't call them a week afterward, but what would be a way to re-energize that?
I would just call them. If I, say I didn't follow up with them a week after because I got so busy, then I would just, whenever I did have that free time, I go through my list and, I would say, make it a practice every day just to call people, 5 to 10. In addition to prospecting, and just say, how's it going? How's the house? And if you sold a house, you say, hey, maybe I stop by one evening, and bring some dinner or bring a small gift or a bottle of Prosecco, and I want to see that deck that you guys did. And you know what? People love it when you interact and stay friends with them. Then they have that relationship with you, and they're not going to go anywhere else. But you have to keep building it. You have to keep working it.
Yes. How do you handle resistance and objections on your listings when you're dealing with a really stern client that insists?
I love it when they're stern. Yeah, you know what? You have to want to be like, you have to want to be in the pit fighting with them or whatever, negotiating. So, so a stern client. So somebody says, you know what, Linda, I don't want to pay your commission. And then basically, what I say is then, the bottom line is it's up to you. I always throw it back on them. So I don't get real, like, how can I say it, combative, although I do enjoy, kind of negotiating. So if it's a listing, I say, that's fine, it's up to you. You know what, you get what you pay for. If they're not going to pick me after I showed them all of this, it's like, going to shop at Walmart or, or Neiman Marcus. You know what? You get what you pay for, and that's the way it's going to go. And then at the end of the day, did that other person have the negotiating ability? And if they truly want to fight with you on that, then they're not worth it. They're just going to give you a hard time. I kind of let them go, to be honest. Give me another example of something.
Pricing. I'm more concerned with pricing, for example. You bring comps and you bring your presentation.
Okay, I got a good one for you on that one. Okay, I'm gonna tell you something right now. Okay. When you got these type of people that don't want to go with your price, the bottom line is you showed them everything. You know what? I strongly advise that you list at this price. It's going to get you the best exposure, multiple offers, and they say, No, I want to try 25,000 more. We get this. You know what? Take the listing. I'm going to tell you, don't not take the listing but first of all, just know what their motivation is. If it is that they must sell, take the listing, and then, after the first week and you get nobody, you're like, well, see, I kind of advised. I'm watching, sir, I'm watching the comps for you. I don't see anything going that high, and plus we got to worry about appraisal too. So, I mean, I can't prove that price to the appraiser. I can prove this to the appraiser, okay? And then nobody wants to overspend, so I let them trip up themselves, So eventually they're like, yeah, you're right, bring it down. Now we're chasing the market down. And I said, see, if you would have just went with this price, we would have been fine, but you wanted to try high, and high doesn't work. It doesn't work. But let it fall right back on them. But just keep in touch with them every week. I looked up the comps and I'm not seeing anything. Give them the feedback. No showings. The no showings, it speaks for itself. The market's speaking to you. Your price is too high. So just always be honest and dishing it right back, consistent with what you told them when you came there. And they'll eventually come down and they'll sell. All they care about is selling their house, and they want the most money. But you know what? Again, they thought they were the boss, but you're the boss, not them.
Awesome. Well, Linda, thank you so much for sharing your time and expertise with us this morning.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you.
Oh.